great to see everybody on this beautiful spring morning. We're having a nice, cool, long, cool spring. I'm so grateful for that. South Carolina summers make me wistful for the winter, and so it's nice to have a cool spring for a while. As you can see, I am not Candace Shalhoub. I am Beth DeHart. I'm going to be your host, I guess, this morning. Candace is visiting with the Unitarian Universalists of Newberry this morning. I thought that was a misnomer. I didn't know that existed, but it actually does. So we have a guest speaker today, a little bit later on, and I'm super excited about that. I know you guys are and will be too when we get to there. But first, we have two amazing songs today as part of our service, and they are both originals by the incredible Bruce Clark. So he's going to start us off.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2. I don't do well on a windy day. I don't do well on a windy day. It starts howling through the trees, rattling my ceiling in a scary way. I don't do well on a windy day. With a breathy voice, come on outside, let's play. I hold on to my hat to keep her from blowing it away. Oh. Cold wind, it frosts my soul as it strafes my skin. Flags and kites say, come on, let's play. But I don't do well on a windy day. I don't do well on a windy day. What more could I have to say? I never could fly a kite, I don't have a sailboat anyway. Things I try to situate only fly
Columbia, or even if you don't and you get a chance to see Bruce Clark do a concert, you should. He's amazing. Thank you so much, Bruce. We are so blessed to have Bruce and Leslie as part of our band.
Yay,
Just to introduce
you're
everybody
blessed too.
really fast, also Michael Reisman, Sprinkles Reisman over on the keyboards and everything else, Trisha Fopp on vocals and 12-string, Keith Edwards, our resident Biggin and Grandpa, and then Larry Farina on the percussion. And again, I'm Beth D. Hart. Thank you for being with us today. Today, we're going to be continuing our Via Transformative theme of Barriers Be Gone. A Course in Miracles says that our task here is not to search for love, but to tear down all the barriers to love. We'll be exploring some of those barriers this quarter and how we can remove them. Right? Good? Okay. So every Jubilee service, we open our worship by calling the four directions, which is an ancient ritual used to declare time and space sacred. So as you are able, if you will stand and face the east. I'm always on the drums, so I don't know where that is. This way. Allison is going to share some black sage with everyone as we call the four directions. Holy One, awaken us to the light rising each morning. Awaken us to the light within ourselves that arises in every moment of the day. Help us to turn toward that light, to kindle it by seeing you within every person we meet. Holy One, bring us the light. Turn and face the south. Open our eyes, Holy One, so that we might see the lush gardens of Eden all around us. Awaken us to the paradise where we already live. Awaken us, Holy One, to the beauty that others cannot or refuse to see. Help us to bring light to that beauty so that others can see and be blessed. Quarter turn to the right and face the west. Be with us, Holy One, in each moment as we journey together on this beautiful blue boat. Awaken us to the needs of our fellow shipmates. Awaken us to the ways we can love those around us. Awaken us to the ways we can bring more of your holy light into this world. Quarter turn to the right and we face the north. We call for your wisdom, Holy One, the wisdom to see beyond the illusions of this world, the wisdom to see the truth behind lies, the beauty behind ugly, the hope behind despair, and the love behind hate. Help us to see the world as you see it, as holy and awesome. Turn back to the center. Wake up, beautiful dreamers. Wake up to the wonder all around you. Wake up to the amazing children of the holy that surround you this morning. Wake up to the mystery of the holy as she breathes and moves in, through, and around us. Wake up to the joy that life can bring if only we'll take the time to shake ourselves out of dreamland. Wake up to the wonder of it all and say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome again to those of you who may be visiting us. I think that's exactly one person. We are a progressive and inclusive spiritual community here at Jubilee, and we decided this morning if we had a billboard to invite people to Jubilee, it would say, if you're weird, come.
Yeah.
Welcome.
We all feel a little out of normal somehow, so that's who we are. But we are also a progressive interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina that teaches the timeless common wisdom of love and unity found in mainstream religions, metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired secular and religious writers and teachers through the ages. So Candace has her lovely patter right here that you all know and are familiar with, and basically the idea is that we like music, we like growing, and sometimes we are recalcitrant. Yeah, that's basically it. But we come here to discover how to live into our higher divine self, and hopefully mornings like this give us some extra tools to be able to do that. There are a couple of announcements I'd like to share with you. Basically all the announcements are event reminders. Next Sunday at 11, we're going to continue our Via Transformativa theme of Barriers Be Gone. A Course in Miracles tells us not to seek for love, but to seek to remove the barriers that we built against love. And we'll explore some of those unlikely barriers that we build against love. And next week, we're going to be celebrating Easter, music from Kev Mo, and we're going to be exploring the barrier to love of death. Look at that. Michael, our guest, is going to give us a little teaser into next week today. So, love it. All right, and Friday, April 22nd at 6:30, we have the very first in a series of conversations that we're going to be hosting on the third Friday of each month. And this one, we have heard from jubilants that you all are interested, we all are interested in learning more about other faith traditions and what they mean, how they function, etc. And so this is going to be the first in that effort to answer that request. Holly Emore is going to visit with us, and she's going to be discussing paganism. The event is going to feature, and you guys are going to see a theme through the next couple of announcements. The event will offer potluck. Main dishes will be provided, and we're going to ask the participants to contribute the side dishes, desserts, and drinks. We will live stream that and record the conversation for those who might not be able to join us live. Then on Sunday, April 24th at 1:30, there's going to be a similar kind of a thing. Dr. Philip Michaels, those of you who are local to Columbia may know of him. He's a professor here at USC and a metaphysical teacher. He's going to give a talk on God's gift of consciousness. He says that the gift is available to us anywhere, anytime, and only we can prevent ourselves from using it. Here's that theme again. Food will be served. Main course will be provided. People who come can bring sides and drinks. That would be great. And then on Wednesday evenings every week at 7:30, Lee McEachern leads an informal discussion group on A Course in Miracles. And whether you've been studying A Course in Miracles for many, many years, or if you're brand new to it, it doesn't matter. We do it the same way every time, and it makes sense every time. So you'll get a lot out of it. There is a Zoom link that's available if you would like to join us. Guess what? There's no food provided for that one. Beer is available if you'd like some. Sure. Or water. All right, and then Sundays at 10:30, every Sunday, Tricia Falk has established what we call Sound Day School. We don't have Sunday School at Jubilee. We have Sound Day School, and it's right next door on the other side of this wall, where she participates in some rituals that help us to get centered for the day and hopefully for the week as well. It's going pretty good, right? People seem to really get a lot out of it. Yeah. Any testimonials from the audience for Sound Day School? Fantastic. Everybody should come. Thumbs up. And then on Friday, May 6th, we do host a monthly coffee house and open mic. Our feature for May is going to be Tyler Watson, who is a local artist, and that's going to begin at 7, followed by an open mic at 8. People are welcome to come with any talent that they would like to share with the open mic. It could be music, it could be dance, it could be poetry, it could be not fire spinning. No, probably not indoors. We could go into the parking lot.
Interpretive dance,
Interpretive dance, sure, hula hoops, tap, whatever. We're a welcoming audience. And then here's that theme again. There's going to be, what do you think? Potluck. Yeah. Food. We provide the main things, but if people want to bring and contribute to that, that's more than welcome. We do ask for a $10 donation to defer the cost of the event, and that's the extent of what you have to pay when you come, unless you just have a pocket full of quarters and you want to donate them. That's great. And then there's one more event that I can't give you the date for yet, because full disclosure, I can't remember it. But a couple of years ago, some of you guys joined with me for an improv practice group that we called Improverts. It was just for fun, right? Improv for introverts. This is Improverts, right? And we don't perform anywhere. We just do improv for fun because it is so stinking fun. And we're going to start it back up again and do it for the summer. So we'll offer Improverts once in May, June, July, and August. And then, if people if the crowds are demanding it, we'll keep it going. But we'll do it for at least 4 months in the summer. And that will, again, be once a month. We'll announce the date of that. We'll put it on the Jubilee website as well. Any other announcements?
Yes. The North Columbia Strings, which is a nonprofit organization, which will be hosted here starting on Thursdays for the summer. Their first meeting is going to be 19th of May. It's a Thursday evening at 6 p.m. And that's for people who kind of are in between adults and kids who have been playing for a couple years, but don't feel comfortable in one of the other community orchestras yet. So we'll help you bridge the gap.
So this is like a community orchestra. It's for every man, right?
Every person who
I love
can play a
that.
stringed instrument. Yeah.
And so what's your goal with that, Michael?
Like I said, to help people bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to go.
So they can sharpen their skills, but also actually perform sometimes.
Oh yeah, we're going to perform, and we're going to be doing all kinds of interesting music, from everything from an African suite to some Irish or Celtic tunes, and everything in between.
Love it. Awesome. And so any kind of stringed instrument?
Bowed string instruments, yeah.
Bowed string instruments. Okay, excellent. Great, thank you for that, Michael. Oh yeah. Thank you for that, Leslie. There is a local group that does everyman's opera, basically, and they are really, really talented at opera, but they are also quite funny. And they're going to be coming to Jubilee to perform, give a show. It's on a Thursday night. Do you remember the date, Leslie?
That's what my memory is.
Yeah, it's. I want to say it's the last Thursday in April. I can't. It's on the website, but yeah. Some of you may know Evelyn Clary. She's here local. She also has an alter ego called Trashy Amber, who sings opera.
And she's very good.
Super fun. It's a really fun night. If you're looking for something fun to do on a Thursday, like we did back in the day, this would be a great option. So yeah, thank you for that reminder, Leslie. All right. I think I'm off script a little bit, but let's go ahead and do Bruce's next song.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
When I write these things, they're always on one page, and somehow when they get printed out, they're on 3.
17 pages.
Small print.
Anyway. Yeah, actually, the opening part of it, the snake wheel, refers to the Ouroboros symbol, which is a snake or a dragon that bites its own tail. And actually, I was maybe about 10 years old, and I had a dream of being approached by the snake, and it actually grabbed a hold of its own tail, started spinning around me in circles, and then it flattened out and then started spinning like a helicopter rotor and then flew away. Okay? I have no idea. I was probably very ill at the time that I had this dream, and no explanation until later. I was only about 10 years old.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, the second part of the song, and that mashed them together, was written in December of 2001 after the towers fell, and it was one that got me out of bed. I'm pretty much agnostic. I'm not saying that I believe one way or the other, and but I'm going to go ahead and play this anyway, because that's what I wrote. Maybe I had help. I don't know. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Confabulation is the muse's tender mercy, while on the merry-go-round. You ride it long enough, you're bound to get dizzy. You can't get enough of that sound. You just can't stop the wheel. It keeps on spinning faster, going around, going around. You just can't stop the wheel. It keeps on going round, going around, going around, going around. You just can't stop the wheel. It keeps on spinning faster, going around, going around. You just can't stop the wheel. It keeps on going round, going around, going around, going around. I dreamed of the snake that could bite its own tail like a hoop ring rolling around on the ground. then flatten itself out, spinning faster, ever faster, making that swooshing sound. I just couldn't stop the wheel. It kept on spinning faster, going around, going around. I just couldn't stop the wheel. It kept on going round, going round, going around, going around. I just couldn't stop the wheel. It kept on spinning faster, going around, going around. I just couldn't stop the wheel. It kept on going round, going round, going around, going around. Can you think of time like a big mandala? Whatever is now always was. Open the door to anything, it's open to all. It's one of those cosmic laws. You're never gonna stop the wheel. It keeps on spinning faster, going around, going around. You're never gonna stop the wheel. It keeps on going around, going around, going around, going around. One day you wake up just as if you've been dreaming. You take a tour of rooms you never knew existed in your home. You're so amazed by the strange architecture and the furniture from past lives unresearched. You'd never know. You never know unless you see yourself through the eyes of angels. Never let you fall as far as you might fall on your own. Won't you see yourself through the eyes of angels? It all makes sense and you're finally coming home. One day you're looking back and wondering what the hell were you thinking? You couldn't plan your life as simply as a spin down to the store. And once the means came to be ends unto themselves, you couldn't buy the merchandise you knew you really went there for. You went there for, let you see yourself through the eyes of angels. It never let you fall as far as you might fall on your own. Won't you see yourself through the eyes of angels? It all makes sense and you're finally coming home.
Makes sense and you're finally coming home.
You understand while you're living in the moment, and fulfillment of desire seems less possible to reach. And you rack your brain to understand the whys of all that you've been learning, especially why before you have a grasp what you're called upon to teach. But once you reach, and then you see yourself through the eyes of angels. It never lets you fall as far as you might fall on your own. Once you see yourself through the eyes of angels, it all makes sense and you're finally coming home.
Makes sense and you're finally coming home.
All makes sense and you're finally coming home.
Makes sense and you're finally coming home.
All makes sense and you're finally coming home. It all makes sense and you're finally coming home. Thank you.
Wow. I heard a Jubilee board member say one time that music is our superpower. Yes, it is. Yeah. Cape on, Bruce, cape on. Awesome. All right. Here are these not so ancient words. Michael, our speaker, provided a poem that he would like to share, that we would like shared as part of our scripture reading this morning. So it's not a scripture, it's a poem. But hear these holy words.
From poet Mary Oliver, a poem called Mindful. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. O good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass.
These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. During this time of contemplation, to prepare our hearts a little bit more for the wisdom that we're going to hear momentarily, I invite you to center yourself however you feel comfortable. You can approach the table. You can take over the bowl for me if you want to. You can walk. You can whatever makes you happy in order to center yourself. But we're going to take a few minutes and just pay attention to our own hearts. I wanted to tell you a really brief story. When I was a little girl, my family is from Bryson City, North Carolina. Both my mother and my father's parents were from there. And I grew up in Union, South Carolina. Yay! It's about this big, if you haven't been there. Not much.
How many traffic lights?
About 4 traffic lights. It's one of those little towns. But we went to Huh? What, Justin? A blind man drove through Union and didn't wreck. That's the beginning of a joke. Yes, it is. Work on that a little, Justin. But we would always travel to Bryson City, North Carolina on every single holiday to be with my grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and everything. And so picture it. Bryson City, North Carolina, 1974. My family owned property that was one side of a mountain. And my aunt lived on the lower part, and then kind of halfway up was my grandparents, and then a little bit further up from that was my uncle. But it was all very, very close together. And so on Christmas Eve, we would start at my aunt's house in the lower house, at her house. We would eat a little bit, we'd share gifts, and then we would all, as a group, travel to my grandparents' house, eat a little more, open more gifts, travel as a group again up to my uncle's house, and eat a little more and open more gifts. You saw that coming, right? That, for me, and I'm sure every one of us here has some kind of a childhood memory, that's some sort of a ritual. That was a ritual that made me feel part of something. And I think that's maybe part of what the beauty of a ritual is it makes you feel part of something. It gives you a chance to punctuate something in your life, and celebrate something in your life, and maybe process through something in your life. And I'm sure we all have them in our life somewhere. I don't mean to be stealing Michael's thunder. He's going to teach us all about ritual. But anyway, just think about, as Michael comes to share with us, think about that. Where in your life do you have something that you can clearly identify as a ritual? And then Michael's going to tell us a lot about building more. Who is this Michael I keep referring to? Michael Brazell is here with us at Jubilee this morning. He's been to Jubilee a couple times, but we met him most recently at the Spiritual Fusions Festival, which was here in Columbia, and he gave the talk, or some version of the talk that he's going to share with us on the benefit and beauty and power of ritual in our life. So welcome, Michael.
Stay here if you want. I just kind of took off. My break dancing doesn't take up that much room, so we're good. All right. So first off, thanks for having me. Really love being part of a community and be able to share a little bit about the work that I do. So I'm a death doula. I'm an intuitive grief guide. I'm a ritualist. I teach yoga, Reiki, and all these other really fun and exciting things. But what I found is my world has kind of pared down to where I just talk about death and I just talk about grief. So I'm super fun at all the parties. But my hope is that by talking about these things more openly, we normalize how we approach death, dying, and grief. We're not taught how to die, and we're not taught how to grieve. So when these moments show up in our lives, they can be super impactful, and there's a lot of potency in those moments if we can shift towards maybe welcoming them in a different way, because they're going to be part of our lives. We're all going to die, so that's a spoiler alert if you didn't know. And we're all going to be touched by death and grief at some point. So being able to show up to those parts of our lives more fully and with potency allows us to not find meaning necessarily, but allows us just to be present. Because what I want to stress today is ritual is not about finding meaning in it, right? Sometimes that can be a result of, but sometimes just showing up is the hardest thing we'll do. So when I teach fitness classes, that's the one thing I always stress. The hardest thing you do is show up. When you walk through the door, or when you show up to the ritual that you're creating for yourself, that's the hardest part. Anything that happens after that is going to be magic. So today when we start to build, we're going to build a ritual together as we walk through this today. Everything's welcome. Any emotion that starts to come up is welcome. If you have to stand up or move or step outside, all of that's welcome, right? I'll be around too afterwards for questions. But one of the things I want to start with is just like to show up together. So just place your hand on your heart for a second. Let's just take some breaths together. So even if you're at home watching, just place your hand on your heart. Let's just all show up for a second. Right? Just feel the rise and the fall of your chest beneath your hand. It's a very ordinary, very sacred thing that we constantly do, that your body just knows how to do. Just tune into that for a second. Just feel the beating heart beneath your hand. Just show up fully to this moment, this ordinary, simple moment. Just take a deep breath in together. Let it go. Deep breath in. Let it go. One more. Deep breath in. You can take your hand off your heart if you want, or leave it there. And one of the things that I love about the poem Mindful by Mary Oliver is it talks about the holy ordinary. And that's where ritual for me is the most potent. Now, I've been to some really elaborate rituals where 2 or 3 hours long, a day long, and there's chimes and there's bells, and we're doing all the really cool and amazing fun things. But I've also had very potent, powerful rituals where all we had was a birthday candle, and we lit the candle to something, and we all showed up. Ritual is like birthdays, right? Funerals, those are all rituals. But there's all this stuff that happens in between. So grief, joy, death, love, are all these very human things that we experience. And for me, ritual is showing up to the most human parts of our story. Because that's all we're living right now is this big story. And we're kind of in this season where we're acknowledging and celebrating the resurrection, right? So this is a resurrection story. But for me, the potency of that story is not the resurrection, but the human moments of Christ before we get there. There's the fear in the garden. There's the doubt. There's the aloneness. There's all these very human parts of that story that we kind of move through very quickly to get to the end, right? Which is sometimes what we want to do. Like, we're going through it, like we just want to get to that other place. But ritual is that place where we can invite ourselves into the story. So I'm going to read up another poem by Mary Oliver that kind of speaks to that before the resurrection. It kind of talks a little bit about what ritual is for me. And it's called Gethsemane. The grass never sleeps, or the roses, nor does a lily have a secret eye that shuts until morning. Jesus said, "Wait with me," but the disciples slept. The cricket has such splendid fringe on its feet, and it sings, have you noticed, with its whole body? And heaven knows if it ever sleeps. Jesus said, "Wait with me." And maybe the stars did. Maybe the wind wound itself into a silver tree and didn't move. Maybe the lake far away, where once he walked on a blue pavement, lay still and waited, wild, awake. Oh, the dear body slumped and eyes shut that could not keep that vigil. How they must have wept, so utterly human, knowing this too must be part of the story. So to me that speaks to like the humanness of these very deep moments we'll go through. And I think, I often wonder like if we celebrated our grief like a birthday, how we'd change our relationship to grief. Or if we changed our perspective around these bigger moments that do show up, how that can change how we move through them. There's the 5 stages of grief, but for me, it's a very nonlinear process, right? Grief isn't this linear thing that we walk through. It's something that we move through, we shift through. Death isn't just something that happens at the funeral, right? It's all that walking up to that point. And it's the after, right? The years after, we're still remembering the person you've lost, or the animal you've lost, or the moments you've lost in your life. So celebrating these moments with ritual just allows us to be present. And it becomes a doorway. I look at grief as like a landscape, death as a landscape, and we all walk these landscapes. And the landscape is just big, it's vast. So when you're standing in the landscape, it can be whatever it needs to be for you at that moment. And in that landscape, we can tend. So if you've ever put your hands in soil, the smell, and soil is all this decayed, dead stuff that creates new life, right? So all of these experiences that we go through in our lives are just soil, right? From the moment we're born, we begin to die. It's a very natural process. What if grief is an enzyme? It's just a natural part of this process of being human. And through ritual, we can celebrate these things. So when I teach about ritual, I don't teach prescriptive rituals because, again, it's not a recipe that you can follow. There are tons of books, and anytime I try to follow a script like I have here, I completely go off script. So if it starts to turn nighttime, let me know so we can wrap it up, because I can talk forever about this stuff. But what we're going to do today is I will go through some parts that I feel are the most important about ritual. And again, it's not prescriptive, but it's something that we're going to build through together today so that we can kind of experience it. You can talk about ritual until you're blue in the face, or you can do ritual and feel and take the parts that work for you and leave the rest to just become soil. So for me, simplicity, invitation, intention, embodiment, and then release. So simplicity, invitation, intention, embodiment, and release. So simplicity starts just by showing up, right? You can get as elaborate as you want. So you can have all the sage, you can do the Palo Santo, you can have the stones that you need. But for me, it's just showing up to what you have. And oftentimes you get asked, well, what about setting the space? So what if just you being there is cleansing enough? What if your breath is all you need to cleanse a space? What if you pluck just a strand of grass and that's all you need to cleanse a space? How simple can you make the ritual? The more steps there are to something, the less likely we are to do it, right? So if you pull out a script and there's like 15 different things, it becomes harder to do. So when I teach teach fitness classes, we try to make them simple because the more complex something is, the less likely we are to do it. So keep your rituals as simple as you can. And when we're in these big moments of grief and doubt and fear, we may not have the capacity to collect all the things we think we need, right? Sometimes all we can do is just show up. And that's all you need ever, is to just show up. And then the invitation is just inviting in whatever it is you want. Holy beings, just yourself, the sacred moment, those that you're sharing the experience with. Like today, we're just going to invite each other in. So just kind of look around the room for a second. Just acknowledge each other, right? We live in a world where we're constantly just moving around, and we barely make eye contact, right? Which means we barely make heart contact with each other. Place your hands on your heart again and just feel that, right? So those of you at home we may not be able to look at directly, we can all touch our hearts together for a moment. Just leave them here for a second. And just feel that thing that connects all of us. Sharing this holy moment together. And this is what makes it holy. This is what makes it cleansed. It's just the fact that we're here. And how powerful is that, just to be in a space together. And even if you're just at home alone, how holy it is to just be in a space where you can touch your heart, to feel the rise and the fall of your chest, to feel your feet or your body as supported by the earth, the expanse of sky, the nourishment of breath. All of it just kind of moving through you at this moment. So close your eyes for a second. Let's invite in everything, all parts of yourself. Leave nothing behind in this moment. Take those deep breaths. Let yourself be holy. Let yourself be enough. What if you're enough just as you are? And as we begin this ritual of tending these places inside of ourselves, what if all we have right now is enough? Can you breathe into that for a moment? Can we let this be the ritual of enough? Can we celebrate that for just a second? And I'm going to do a small invocation that I use from one of my teachers, T. Thorne Coyle. Holy Mother, in whom we live, move, and have our being, from you all things emerge, and unto you all things return. Open our hearts this blessed day. Touch our bodies and our minds. Walk with us through the gates of power, in shadow and starlight, in fire meeting earth, in wind on the ocean, and the sweet kiss of life. Blessed be our journey. So open your eyes for a second. So now we've invited in, right? It can be whatever you want, right? The holy emptiness, the holy beauty of the moment. What if our affirmation and prayer isn't necessarily just thank you, but what if it's I don't know? Maybe that's my prayer today. Maybe my prayer is help me, right? Maybe my prayer is silence, because I just don't know what to ask for. So intention is where we start to make these asks of whatever we're reaching out to or reaching into, right? So place your hands on your heart again. Bring them back to center. And as we begin tending and as we begin inviting in all of this beauty and all this enoughness, what in your heart right now needs tending? What in your body needs tending? Is there an emotion or a sensation? Are you experiencing grief or loss in this moment? What if you bring your other hand to meet your hand across the heart and just hold yourself for a second? What in you needs tending? Maybe your joy needs tending. Maybe your heart needs tending. Maybe the physical parts of yourself need tending in this moment. Maybe you don't know, and that's okay too. Just enjoying just sitting in the chair and enjoying the music today. Maybe that's what we're tending together. Let's just take a deep breath into those places inside of us that need tending. Deep breath in. Let it go. Take those deep sighing releases. Deep breath in. Let it go. Deep breath in. Let it go. Open your eyes. Come back into the space for a second. And each part of this is a ritual in and of itself, right? All of this is ritual. All these little parts and pieces. And again, you can make these things as elaborate or as simple as you need them to be for yourself going forward. So now the next piece is embodiment. So embodiment is where we have to feed the thing inside of us that needs our attention at this moment. We give it a little bit of energy. So we're going to raise a little bit of energy together. So again, this time place your hand across your tummy. I'm going to move the mic so there's less feedback. This is about to get a little loud. So hand across your tummy and hand across your heart. Just kind of hold yourself for a second. Take that deep belly breath. Now here's what we're going to do. 3 times together, we're going to intone the word love. Doesn't matter if you're like the greatest singer or like me, the worst singer in the world, right? We're just going to intone the word love. Maybe it's the word love. Maybe it's a sound for you that represents love. And we're going to do that 3 times together. All right, here we go. Deep breath in. Love. Deep breath in. Louder. Love. Deep breath in. Even louder. With that energy we just raised and built, let yourself be fed by love. Let the parts of you that are calling for something more be fed by love. And as we feed each other, we are also fed. So can you just breathe into that for just a moment? Let yourself be fed by love. And whatever it is, and maybe you don't quite know what it is, so just take some with you. Take a little bit with you as you go. I think I'm like, go up instead of down. Okay, here we go. So that's embodiment. Embodiment means we just bring it into the body, we bring it into the space. So now we fed the parts of ourselves with some love. We've given some love. Yeah, I think I...
Just use this one.
Is it okay? Here we try it. That's all right. It's all part of the ritual, right? Everything we do... Well, everything we do becomes part of the ritual. So here's another thing, right? You can't get it wrong. Right? So if a baby cries, if you cry, right? If something falls off the shelf, if you fall off the shelf, right? All of it. If you fall asleep during meditation, it's part of the meditation, right? There's absolutely no way to get any of this stuff wrong, which is why I don't like to do prescriptive meditations, because if you miss a step, you're like, oh, you gotta do the whole thing over again, you know? And it's not so. You don't have to do the whole thing over again. Just showing up is enough. Keep it simple. Invite in whatever you want to invite in. Embody it, just for a moment. And if you don't know what to embody, you can embody silence. You can embody rest. We're not taught how to rest either. So ritual can be a moment of rest. Meditation can last 1 breath or hours. And there's always that debate of how long. If you can make it for 1 breath, that's great, right? That's all you need. Maybe your ritual is just a breath, a fully conscious inhale where you touch your heart and you feel the rise and the fall of your body. Maybe that's enough, right? And I want you to think as you go forward, like, what's your enough, right? And if you like it to be elaborate and fancy, make it that, right? But my challenge is, how can we make it simple, right? Maybe it's having a meal with a friend. Maybe that's your ritual, right? Where can you show up more fully to the rituals in your life? Like Beth mentioned before, we have these rituals and these things that we do. Where can you show up with maybe a little bit more intention to those things that sometimes can become rote, right? How can you make brushing your teeth a holy act, right? How you can make paying your bills something holy, right? It's the challenging stuff that is the biggest invitation to those holiest moments, right? Because they're the most human moments of our story. Celebration is beautiful. Celebration is wonderful. But there are moments when we may feel like we're lost in the landscape, and a ritual is just us putting a landmark. It's just us saying, I'm here and I'm able and willing to take that next step. So your ritual is where we just show up a little bit together. And then release is just letting it go, right? Walking away, turning the candle off, putting out the incense. Going on to that next thing, right? You brush your teeth, you go into your day.
right? So what if showing up every day to your shower or to your toothbrush is like your active ritual? It's where you cleanse and you release and you just show up to the day in the holiest way you can. Not as an act of perfection, but as an act of just showing up, right? Because perfection is great, but it's like, you know, an aspiration. So I always go back to that scene in the garden, right, where this person we're looking at as perfect is the most human, right? And for me, those are the most transformative parts of that story. So I want you to think moving forward, like, what are the most transformative parts of your story, and how can you celebrate yourself in those moments going forward, right? So take that today, and if nothing else, the next time something a little heavier shows up, because it will, take time just to breathe into it. Maybe just place your hand on your heart and just say, I'm here and I'm enough, right? And then anything after that is going to be beautiful, right? So that's pretty much all I have. So thank you. If you have questions, email me, michael@michaelbrazell.com. I am here local. If you're going through some stuff and just need someone to remind you to breathe, I'm really good at that, teaching yoga. Tell people to breathe all day long. I love it. I'll tell you to move. And if you just need to figure out how to create rituals for yourself, let me know. I can always help you do that too. But I'll be around after. If you have any questions or anything, just ask. But yeah, michaelbrazell.com, and my blog is death.yoga. So pretty simple. Yeah, Michael, MichaelBrazell.com. Yeah.
Are you on Facebook or Instagram?
Yes, I am on Facebook. So Facebook, I am M. Brazell. I do deactivate my Facebook pretty regularly. I do. It's more for like, you know, I want to create community, but I also, like, part of my ritual is leaving and going into the wilderness a bit to come back and bring some new stuff back to my blogs. And so if, like, you follow me and I disappear, I didn't unfollow you, I didn't block you. It's just like I need to disappear to bring some cool stuff back. So, yeah. But thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me be part of this experience, you guys.
So those of you in the room know that after we say goodbye to our visitors from far, far away, we have a talk back time. And Michael, if you're willing, we'd love to have our in-house group maybe discuss a little bit of this with you, which will be awesome. This point in Jubilee Sundays is when we ask for your support for Jubilee. And I don't want to, I was thinking, like, how do I relate the request for money to what Michael was sharing with us? And I don't want to cheapen it, so I didn't want to do something super artificial. But I did want to just say, you know, for a lot of us, giving our support of whatever type to the thing that means something to us is a bit of a ritual. It's the idea of letting something go, giving something that you have to something that you care about can be a holy act. And so I've got this little beautiful symbolic basket. So if somebody has $1 or $2 or 10,000 that you would like to give to Jubilee, we would love to receive that. Thank you, Maria. Just wish you could sit it down there. But we say this a lot at Jubilee. Jubilee exists and functions week to week because of a lot of support that is beyond money. We certainly need the money. Got to pay the rent and the power bill and the preacher. But we have to keep the space nice. We have a team of AV people who are broadcasting us right now, people to recruit talent to come in and speak to us and lead workshops and things, and then to run across amazing resources like Michael to bring them in. There's all sorts of ways that you could give to Jubilee. If you would like to give money, we would welcome that. We have a Venmo, we have a PayPal option, we have the basket here, and we also have an old-fashioned, as Candace says, an old-fashioned P.O. box that I don't know the address to. Anybody know it off the top of your head? Nope. You want to write the check? Just hand it to me. That's totally fine. Totally fine. So at this point, we will say goodbye and say happy week to the friends who are visiting with us online, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll see you next week.